and welcome back. I just ate lunch, and so I'm very burpy. I need to do the intro. Welcome back to Star Trek Prodigy, Season 2, Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Where today, as I rather just implied, we're going to do, this weekend, I guess, we're going to do a mega watch-along of Star Trek Prodigy. It will be a fully spoiler one. Well, I'll probably talk about the last episode during episode 1. I might reference other series, whatever. This isn't my first watch through. I finished it, of course. If you don't know what we're doing, though, because you'll need some time to set up. Hi, Comet. You want to come join the stream? Oh, do you want to lick all the cheese out of my vegan macaroni bowl? There you go. You can have all my vegan cheese. He likes the vegan cheese. Yeah, we are going to be basically recording an audio commentary track live. So if I go ahead and pop this time bar, which you can't see, there we go. Why isn't that working? Because I hid the time bar. Yes, I obviously cannot just stream an episode of Prodigy, or the audio. So it's bring your own video. There's a link to the Netflix in the description. There is a link to the Netflix in the description, yeah? There should be a link to the Prodigy on Netflix in the description. In a little while, I'm going to ramble so people can set up. Oh, I should not have had mac and cheese. We are going to do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go countdown, and on go, we'll all hit play. Of course, I don't own Prodigy, because no one does. We're streaming it from Netflix, so it's a little bit different. For one, the time bar has time remaining and not time left. There's nothing I can really do about that. No ads, of course. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of syncing everyone up. And I'm not really just going to go from one episode straight into the other. Maybe I will for the two-parters. But I'll give a little bit of break for people to get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. Maybe get a snack. I'll probably have to do some of these things too. It's going to take about 4 hours to get through the first half of Prodigy. Well, it will take exactly 4 hours, but plus all of this talking stuff in the middle. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So I hope, just a few minutes of rambling, I hope everyone's had a good time. It's been weekends. I've had days off because of the 4th of July. There we go. The dog has finished all the cheese. Yesterday, I did the final rhubarb harvest of the year. We got a rhubarb plant growing. We got a lot of frozen rhubarb. And I wanted to make rhubarb tarts, like rhubarb bars, rhubarb crumble bars. And we haven't done that before. And so it was my first time really cooking like a big recipe with the stuff in the garden. Had a lot of fun. I cooked the bread stuff you get underneath. And I had all the filling, the paste stuff in a blender. I'd harvested 5 stalks to get this. It was a lot of rhubarb. Fresh rhubarb bars. I was so excited. I tasted some of it. It looked great. And so I went to pick up the blender, and it didn't come off of the thing. It's a new blender. We haven't really used it. I was like, that's weird. Maybe it was twisting it a bit. So I twisted it and it came off. I was like, oh, good. And I lifted the blender up with all of this filling that I just spent ages preparing in the final rhubarb harvest of the season. And the bottom of the blender didn't come with it. So it all just fell over the blender and on the counter and off of the dishwasher. And it was devastating. And we had to use frozen rhubarb. So we wasted a harvest and we went through some frozen rhubarb. Yay, that was my weekend. But I mean, they still tasted good. Basically the same, it just wasn't very red because it was the June harvest. Not the June, whatever the other one was. That was enough rambling, but yeah, Prodigy. I'm not going to talk too much big picture because we'll have a lot of time in the episodes to do that. But yeah, I liked it. I liked the season. I'll say though, because everyone is absolutely loving on this season. I felt like, and you might have noticed this in my reviews for the first 5 episodes, that I seemed kind of lackluster. I don't know. I'd heard a lot of great things. People saying I'm genuinely don't believe how good this season is. And so I was watching through, I'm like, really? I mean, we got some good episodes, you know, but we've also got some, like, not good episodes, and I don't know. And then Wesley Crusher shows up, and then the series gets really good. So we're on the weak episodes for most of this. I don't think it's, like, till 8 or 9, and I see how some of the other episodes fit into the greater narrative. Like, I think all 20 episodes of this season, none of them are filler. They all they all contribute to the story, even if it doesn't seem like it at first, which is good. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll have a lot of time. And of course, I'll be double dipping on those first 5 episodes I've already reviewed, so come back in like an hour and a half if you don't want that. But I think it's time to get into the first episode. So, what we're going to be doing, as I said earlier, is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go countdown. You can see on the bottom right, kind of above the full screen, the time bar for Netflix. But just don't get out of sync, and you should be good. But yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, we all hit play. And if for some reason you're not watching this on Netflix, it starts with the little weird Star Trek logo thing with, like, the ship zooming past. And we'll never be skipping the intros. That's another important thing. We won't be skipping the intros. Where's my timer? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I hit play. I didn't hit play. Reset. Everyone reset. It didn't work. It didn't work. Come on. Oh, there we go. I'm back at 0. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Because I definitely only clicked play once. But it was like, nah. I'll pause it again. So yes, of course, you can see we still got the blurred version of the episode. That should help a bit. As I recall, the first 2 episodes were pretty good. They might have been the best in the first 4, although they were mostly set up. But now, hey, I know what's gonna happen, so I'm free to talk about where these plot lines, these plot threads go, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to do the watch along. Still interesting, it's the same intro as before. Like, a lot of it actually is relevant. Like, the Protostar is in it, Hollow Janeway is in it. I mean, Zero doesn't have a body for, like, half of it, though, and he definitely doesn't have this body. Which is interesting, because, it's probably more complicated to swap out a character model than I'd think for the intro. But for Zero specifically, I would have thought you could just swap out his character model, a little bit of touch up with the lighting, and then it just kind of works. It is a great theme, though. Oh, I didn't watch season 1 before doing this, but that's all right. Like, I feel I know enough. Like, well, I've watched it, just not, like, recently. Did this get an actual Nickelodeon broadcast? I don't know. Like, on TV. You know, I didn't really think about it before, but are those actual phaser blasts? Like, are these kids genuinely in danger of being stunned? See, so Murph can read. Just saying. We'll get there. Episode 5 is the only bad episode of the whole season. I love the lighting in this shot. Do we actually see tribbles after this, like multiplying? Because it's just Picard in Discovery. And in Discovery, we see some tribbles just hanging around the ship. So I wonder if, like, I guess that kind of retroactively fixes some things. So in Starfleet, do your pads just start playing messages the instant you receive them? That yip yip got me. And confirmation that 400 years in the future, 300 years, we still do manual roll call. Actually, I don't even think we did manual roll call when I was in college. Like, the teacher would just look at everyone and be like, yeah, I recognize you. You're here, you're here. I really don't like those fighters that we see. Like, they're just so not Star Trek. They're like I feel every animated kid sci-fi I've seen has had those fighters. I'm still not sure how I feel about that plot line too. Like Zero points out as well. I mean, there's like a balance between you're not among Tellarites and, um, you know, you also have a culture that everybody understands. Like your whole race is famous for insults being kind. So I feel like the counselors does a good job of like still having that like gruff, insulting Tellarite culture, but also like he's among a lot of non-Tellarites. I do like the shuttle. I will. This might be one of my favorite modern Star Trek shuttlecrafts. It really fits in with the era. Hello, Doctor. I wonder, my kid, right? I don't have a kid, but I will have a kid. And I will introduce them to both Star Trek and Doctor Who. I'll probably show him Prodigy first as a kid. I wonder if they will think this is actually like the Doctor Who Doctor. Oh, I wanted to keep track. There was one. There's one, I'm not a doctor, I'm an X from the Doctor. One. Good first impression. Don't worry, I won't get Microsoft Paint out again. Del, we haven't even got the complicated parts back. I will say, ever since the fan home announcement that they're taking over the model starships, I'm watching Star Trek very differently. Every one of them, it's like, God, I can't wait to get that shuttle. Like, yeah, the ship's really it has grown on me a lot watching the season. I just feel is an A. I wish it was a little different from the Voyager, and I feel it's never going to be better than like the original Voyager, and it's never going to be better than the Sovereign class. It's kind of less than the sum of its parts. But I think it's still a good ship. This setup of the Romulan evacuation is done really well, by the way. When it comes back at the end with the Martian attack. This is going to be fascinating to watch, like, you know, in 10 years, people trying to figure out what order to go through modern Star Trek, to have kind of these references and then realize that's actually something in the show. I think that's going to be pretty cool. See, like, Jankum, that's a Tellarite who just insulted you. You can insult him for kindness. Name drop. I do have that, like, there's a lot of references and callbacks that are done really well. Wesley. There's also an equal amount that are just small world syndrome and is like, hey, remember you are watching Star Trek. I'm in your position. How's my mic? That gave me a little, like, heart attack the first time, but I think this might actually be the first time in nearly 1,000 episodes someone has actually said why a turbo lift is different from an elevator. Wait, let's remember that. Let's all remember that Voyager has a slipstream drive, okay? Let's all remember that. It is interesting, and I don't remember this from last season, that you have a lot of very quick cuts between scenes. It's like very sudden. It's borderline jarring at parts. Um, and sometimes it's for a commercial break, but there's so many edits where if it was one of my videos, I just add a little bit of time, like on the end of both scenes. The second someone stops talking, we cut. And then someone starts talking instantly again. Yes! Literally every single one of those excites me. Like, not even ironically, just genuinely, I'm like, I would love to do all three of those things. And I said this in my review. I love Oh shoot, I've moved the time bar. I love how everyone except Dell just is genuinely excited for their field of study and interested in it. Yeah, that is weird, and that literally never comes up, doesn't it? I tried to look this up. I'm pretty sure Lamar is a reference to the actor, voice actor for um, Admiral Freeman from Lower Decks, like the black guy with the beard who's Mariner's dad. I'm pretty sure, or was it Lamar Freeman? I think it was the voice actor, but I don't remember exactly. Rok-Tahk, that's a sentient like coworker. You can't talk about him like that. I love that Protostar model. I want a Protostar. Come on, Phantom. When are they coming out? October, November? Actually, let's remember that. So the reason I brought up the slipstream is Gwen has to take ages to get to Solum. Later, the Infinity is going to get from Solum back to where Voyager is, like 90 light years from Earth, at the Beta Quadrant border. Like, they don't even bring it up. It's not an issue. Shortly after, it's going to take the Infinity 63 days to get to where Chakotay is. Or where they think Chakotay is, which I assume is the Delta Quadrant. And Voyager is also going to get to Solum like it's nothing, but they're going to take a significant amount of time to get back. Like, it's really weird. I feel like how fast the ships are super inconsistent. But like if the Infinity can go to Solum super fast, how come the shuttle can't? Like, the Infinity is purpose built to go basically no distance whatsoever. It doesn't even have to warp. This is really glossed over as well. It does. There's one line that addresses this, and it kind of bothered me watching the whole thing. Is I mean, Dell brings up a great point. If you're changing the future, won't you cease to exist? And the answer seems to be yes. It's a major plot point that once they don't send the protostar back, once they change the past, Gwen ceases to exist. So Gwen's trying to make a future where Solum doesn't go to civil war. And if Solum doesn't go to civil war, that means when Chakotay ends up at Solum the first time, he doesn't get attacked and he doesn't get stranded. He doesn't have to send the protostar through the wormhole, meaning that the diviner doesn't have to go chase him, meaning that they don't make Gwen. Like, say, I mean, more generally, preventing the Civil War seems to create the exact same paradox this season tries to solve, and that's never directly addressed. Essentia has one line how Solum always goes to civil war. In the entire multiverse, Solum goes to war. which makes sense because that seems to be an integral piece of like the timeline. Literally, the universe collapses if Solem doesn't go to war. But it's just it seems to be like glossed over for the sake of getting a happy ending. And I feel I almost wonder if it wasn't thought out ahead of time and they just kind of realized that Solem has to go to war. It's kind of interesting that everyone just jumps to the fact there's a secret Shuttle Bay 3. I didn't when I first heard the Doctor's line. I love Rok-Tahk. Rok-Tahk would be me in this situation, except I would go to Janeway. I like how every space in the ship is built so Rok-Tahk can fit through, even though Rok-Tahk doesn't have to go through any of them. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a tight fit in the Jeffries tubes, but it's no tighter than, like, they used to be for humanoids. Or, like, I guess human-sized aliens and humans. Stealing the Romulans' homework. That's what that was. It is interesting, actually, that they were willing to build a cloaked ship for this mission. Also, let's make sure to leave the shuttle bay doors open. I'm also not a fan of that shuttle. Like, what the heck is that thing? That's a tank. Like, there's nothing about the Infinity's mission that requires this weird chunky design. Anything can cloak. Like, a Constitution cast cloaked once. Anything can have temporal shields. At least looking at the future designs. Man, Starfleet really has to do something about this ship loyalty issue. There's even a line later on I really laughed at where Starfleet, it's something along the lines where when they take the mission away from Janeway, they go like, Starfleet just wants their own people to handle it. And I'm like, you are Starfleet! You are their own people! Like, why does every ship seem to think there's like, this is a serious problem? I mean, it was in the classics, like, every now and then, but I feel the modern Star Trek has taken it way too far to, like, literally everything is like, no, I'll commit mutiny because I disagree, and I'm gonna be in charge. There was episode 1. Episode 2, I will need a water bottle. Uh-oh. Come on, reset. I will need to fill up my water bottle. So we are going to have a slight intermission, which I didn't prepare anything for. I'll probably only be like 1 or 2 minutes. So give me, actually, where's the warp engines? Let's put some TNG hum. Oh, not yet. You got a brief bit of this quantum fiber ad. There we go. I will be back in 1 or 2 minutes. There's the water bottle. I should have got situated before I unmuted myself. A lot of episodes to go through today. That was one. As I was unmuted. I don't know, or muted. I don't know how long I was muted for. I didn't say anything important though. I just started playing the episode and I realized I need to do countdowns. So yeah, episode 2, season 2, episode 2. I don't remember. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Then we all hit play on go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. And no skipping intros, no ads, start from the beginning every time. That's just the best way to do it. Because, like, eventually, if people are watching this with DVDs or stuff, they don't really have, like, a skip intro. Because the skip intro will put everyone to exactly the same spot, but yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. And the DVDs do have all of this stuff at the beginning, too. At least, the other Star Treks do. Boom. Booda boom. Booda boom. Booda boom. Robert Belton, Robert Picardo. There's some credits we haven't seen in a while. Chakotay was good this season. Although I guess we'll probably wait. When do we get Chakotay? I think it's episode 11. I think episode 10, at the end of that, we send us off to beat Chakotay. Amazon is so presumptuous. If you just click the next episode button, it automatically skips the intro. I was like, what? Who do you think I am? I don't even know why they bother to program these skip intro buttons. It is a very visually stunning intro and show in general. Very well animated. Every time I see this logo, I remember that I have to swap out the logo on my thumbnails. Never did that. Literally never did that. Because it has all of everyone's faces in the actual logo, or the new one, but I used a logo from, like, one of the announcement teasers. Name drop. Picard's name was dropped so many times, I'm actually surprised we didn't get Picard. Like, at some point. Even for just, like, a brief cameo. I do like Solum. The, like, architecture and the people. Yep, for some reason there aren't subtitles for that bit. I love these Dark Soul bosses that rule Solon. Yeah, we didn't really get what I expected we would with Solum. I thought we'd get a lot more time here and a better understanding of the culture, like a whole first contact thing. Well, guess not. Here's a character I forgot existed until this scene. Kudo, I really like, actually, that the rulers don't just go, well, Essentia was here first. Like, they genuinely seem to let both of them tell their story and genuinely just try and look for evidence to see who's actually correct. Because it always really bothers me whenever stuff like this happens. And it's like, oh, well, you were here first, so I guess you're true. And it's like, well, no. Like this. You could probably 3D render that. You're a very advanced civilization. Like, you're capable of building spacecraft. I mean, they do fall for it a little bit, but, like, generally, when Gwen comes back and stuff. Because it's like, why? Why would you believe the first person? Like, why does no one bring up, so you just believe them because you're first? They don't even go, well, Gwen, could you bring your past self? Like, to prove your identity? They don't even give that opportunity. Like, clearly, she looks like one of them. So they instantly jump into the conclusion that these aliens are able to grow their own Valnicott as spies, or like... In fact, if they didn't, if they kidnapped Gwen as a child and, like, brainwashed her, then you'd think Gwen could still potentially have, like, a past self here. Which means Essentia's past self could also be the same thing. Yeah. Man, that was a big explosion. There's a funny line coming up where they go, "We can't make contact with Gwen's shuttle. Do you think she might have been captured or something?" It's like, well, no, like, yes, but that's not the reason you can't make contact. Hello, Amethyst. Maj'el's voice actress, I don't remember her name, but she voiced the character Amethyst in Steven Universe, which is one of like two shows I'd consider perfect and one of my favorite shows. And it's the exact same voice, just with less emotion for Maj'el. And I didn't notice until episode 13. Uh, Rutherford's voice actor, he also plays the mailman Jamie from Steven Universe. It's nice seeing those people get work. Hi, Wesley. That is Wesley, right? Who does this orb? The future. I mean, you could argue why doesn't Wesley, like, show up on the bridge? But presumably he's calling from the broken timeline, and it's probably really hard to just pop back. Can the travelers do. That's a question. It's probably because the timeline is, like, falling apart. They can't just travel back in time on their own power and fix it. Because, like, I don't think we ever see the travelers travel in time. Well, no, Wesley does. But, like, we see him go to Gary Seven's office. And we know that that's time travel. By the way, yeah, it really bothers me that the Doctor teleports around like that with his mobile emitter. Like, just have him not wear his emitter when he's on the ship. Or have him wear it, but when he teleports, like, he doesn't need the mobile emitter. Doesn't it need to charge? Like, doesn't he charge it in Voyager? Whenever he's in the sick bay, he's not wearing his emitter because he doesn't have to. I really like. I can't remember his name, but Gwen's father in this whole season, he's really good. And I mean, the actor's clearly got some range because he played like a evil villain last season. Ilthrom, that was it. Does that mean that wait? Yeah, they do that a lot, where they want a secret meeting, but that implies everything is always recorded, which would solve a lot of other episodes. I remember this from season 1. It is cool how seasons 1 and 2 really are a package deal. Which, see, they wouldn't do if there was no civil war. You know, I've just realized a problem with the loop we're going to establish is this never happens. Chakotay's never going to record this message. And when they get the isolinear chip from the protostar, it's going to have a totally different sequence of events. I guess, did they upload this footage to... Was it never created in the first place? Like, I guess that'll fix it if they upload the footage. I might have added a scene where they leave the chip or they do something, yeah. No, I mean, it's not impossible, as I just said, but... I will give kudos. I mean, maybe I'll find something, but I don't think there's actually a contradiction, or it's like actually they messed up. If you accept that Solem is always going to go to Kit's Civil War, I guess the only weird thing is that Gwyn's father always becomes the diviner. Essentia always becomes her future self, and the diviner always makes Gwen, and is always surprised by her betrayal. It's a little convenient, but it's not, eh. Which is another point. Where is Solon? Like, that comes back to the travel time stuff I was saying last episode. I assume Solem's the Delta Quadrant, but... Yeah, Memory Alpha says Solem is in the Delta Quadrant, and right now we are at the border of the Beta Quadrant, like 90 light years from Earth. Or 50, one of them, I don't remember. We're within 100 light years of Earth. Pretty compelling evidence, if you ask me. Actually, I would have assumed... No, he just said only I could. I see. Because I thought these were personalized, but Essentia steals one later, so who knows. Maybe you can modify them, I don't know. Not the response you want. See, it's just hard to imagine that Ithram goes through everything with Gwen that he does, and then still becomes the same diviner who makes Gwen and makes the same mistakes. It's not inconceivable. Like he could believe that this time will be different because of his experiences with Gwen, but who knows? That's something for watching season 1 again. We make them fully military capable, of course. We take knowledge very seriously. Hi, Matt. Oh, you want to say hi to the stream? So Valnacot's like their species? I don't know, I would do a paternity test, but that's just me. What's Michelle's motivation here, I guess? Like, they learned there's a secret mission, and so they also go to like hijack the secret mission. What's Michelle's plan? There you go, the most useless officer in Starfleet history. Doesn't report anything, doesn't really just do anything. But their mirror universe counterpart, much more effective. I just realized how casual Murph is resting on that box. The color of the L cars really do help bring the all metallic look kind of together. But carpet, it's a home. You wouldn't want to live in a metal home. But this is the best all metal look we've had. I think this season of Prodigy in particular. Which is interesting. It's illegal to board an unsanctioned vessel. Yeah. I mean, I feel the beginning of this arc is really kind of set on like slightly cliched, or like you can clearly see what's gonna happen. They're gonna accident themselves into launching the shuttle. I guess if Wesley prevented this, would that just be another paradox, or would that work out? I don't know. And there we go, episode 2. I mean, I think as I said in my reviews, it is... It's just kind of the setup. Like, you know, they gotta go back. Um, I mean, I didn't know much about this season going in. I didn't really know anything. I knew Chakotay would be in it, and like I saw the Vulcan lady in the previews. Well, I guess I knew the Doctor would be in it. But yeah, it's still just kind of at the setup. I mean, I don't think it really gets going until they steal the Infinity, and I don't think it gets good until Wesley shows up. I mean, you've got some good episodes, but it's just a lot of setup. This may be... the thing is, I don't know if you could really trim it down, because every one of these episodes is important to the plot, and it contributes to us getting to the end of the plot. I'm just not as big a fan of these opening ones. But, shall we just continue? I'll give it like a minute or two, and then we'll continue. I don't want to just have like a whole bunch of buffer time, because those minute or twos are going to really add up over the course of 10 episodes. But yeah, we're about to start episode 3 for those of you who are just joining us. We're going to do the first 10 episodes of Prodigy today. So in a little bit, giving some time, some people some break time just in case they have to go take care of something. In a little bit, we're going to do a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And then we're all going to hit play. I'm watching the Netflix version, link in the description. And yeah, we're not skipping the intros. We're starting at the very beginning, going through all the logos, just because that's the consistent place. Anyone, no matter how they're watching, should be able to start right here. If you join in the middle, there's the countdown over at the bottom right. Although that says how much time is remaining, not what our timestamp is. I don't really have control over that. That's just Netflix stuff. But yeah, I think we'll give it a go. We'll start with the next episode. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Apparently we're about a quarter through. We're 20% of the way through. Oof. Hopefully this doesn't take 8 hours. The plan is to do the first 10. I might cut it at like 5 if this is really going to take twice as long as I thought. Because we just hit like the hour mark. That should basically be the end of episode 3. But we're starting episode 3. Boom, boom. I noticed in like the shuttle bay sequence last time as well, they do a good job of incorporating the theme into the soundtrack, and just doing different variations depending on the mood of the scene. It's well done. It's interesting though, because Alex and I are going through Star Trek, and they're still on TNG season 4, and that season has a lot of episodes where there's no music. There's so many nearly silent episodes when it comes to the soundtrack, and it's done to great effect. But it's interesting going between the two. And of course, next week we'll get back into Doctor Who with Caden, with the 10th Doctor stuff. And Murray Gold, the composer for that show, is anything but subtle. I like it, but he's not subtle. No one wants a crash landing without their inertial dampeners. I don't get the shuttle. It doesn't strike me as Starfleet. It's weirdly large, but I don't know. It's odd. That's so pretty. This is still funny to me. Like, why hide your ear? It just makes hiding your ears just makes you look more human, and that's worse almost. Make sure to keep your Starfleet pants on. That looks really beautiful too, like just the ruined Solum. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they are. I'm just gonna listen to you because you're first. Did they just walk in here without without guards at the door? Hi, Comet. Oh, you want up here? You want to say hi? Come here. Oh, good boy. He likes being on the chair. It's hot. They like come into my basement. It's cold in my basement. How... What is it? 86. Oh, it's actually not as hot as I thought. Comet, what are you doing? I would love to know more about this culture though, because like no one's done this in millennia apparently, but they're still put it above all else. Um, and I feel there are scenes later on that would work better if we had a better understanding of this culture. The funniest thing to me about Maj'el hiding her ears is that there are Vulcan-looking species. Other than the Romulans, there's... Like, this episode! Who Watches the Watchers is the TNG episode with the Vulcan-like people, and this episode is a reference to that one. Look at the name. That's racist. It is good having him back, as I said earlier. By the way, the heads of the show have to be massive Doctor Who fans. You've got Adric over here, a Fifth Doctor companion. You've got the Ravengers, who live in, like, the time vortex and come to eat paradoxes. The whole thing's timey-wimey. We use the phrase timey-wimey. Like, it's so Doctor Who. That's still racist. Prodigy would have been a great show to deal with this casual alien racism, but bird puns are evidently too strong. Neither of which are causal time warps, but go ahead. I do like that it was a time loop, though. Like, it also helps cue in the, like, this always should happen, or that anything where you go, like, will the diviner still produce Gwen? Well, the first time, so to say, like in season 1, the diviner had already experienced all of this. Although I guess if we're saying that, Essentia would remember overthrowing herself, and so when she goes back in time, she shouldn't be surprised when she overthrows herself. Yeah, you know, shouldn't Essentia remember all of this if this is a true time loop? And even if it's not, if we're saying season 1 was the first time, Essentia still exists and still has to exist to close the loop. Because we see at the end all of this does happen. No, I think I have found a hole. Is that Essentia, given that we clearly see her child self for all of this, should know everything that happens, even if she still grows up to be the same Essentia. I don't know, it's almost like they kind of thought through the loop aspect, but not fully, or they... I don't want to say they just didn't care. Because, like, they do. And they're definitely not going to say, oh, the kids won't think it through. Because that's not how they write the shows. I mean, rightfully so. And it's harder to say that Essentia is going through thinking maybe this time will be different. Because for the diviner, he didn't see Gwen betraying him. He didn't see how he parented Gwen last time, because that doesn't happen on Solum. That happens later. But Essentia actually sees all the major events that happen during this season, like her younger self. Why single out Del specifically? What is Maj'el and Zero? Let's just ignore how he's holding that tablet. Oh, and yeah, I do think this is very clever. Like, because they literally couldn't escape without Jankum's arm. Again, the mechanics of the escape were very well done. Actually, this is probably the strongest episode of the first 5. Fire! Oh, wait, no, yeah, he literally can. You know what? In like 3 sort of seasons of sci-fi I've seen, this is the 3rd disability mobility enhancer that is armed. Because Doctor Who has both a Segway and a wheelchair with like advanced weaponry, like machine guns and rocket launchers. We could just come out this far, Chakotay. Like, that's what bothers me so much. Like, Okana evidently can get here. On Warp 2. You've got a Ferengi. So wait, why did the past change? Oh no, we're saying it's a loop. Time always breaks at least one. Okay. So time always has to break, but that's still breaking time. I can't exactly say that's not how time travel works. It's so weird kind of watching this a second time and being like, Gwen is apparently just wrong. Like, her people literally will not and will never embrace the outsiders. So wait, how long was this prison break going on? And Gwen was fighting for the entire prison break. I find that funny. It's not a contradiction, it's just funny. I still don't get why Chiote assumes they're raiders, though. I don't think they said they're raiders, did they? They were just like some crew. Wait, that's a tricorder? I love seeing the protostar in the corner there. Just like, you really get a sense of the ship when you're seeing them speed around it, but it's kind of slowly moving. And the protostar is a small ship too, as I recall. Like when we see it next to Voyager, there's a huge difference, but I believe it's more that protostar is small than the Voyager is big. Like, look at that thing. I love it. God, now I'm thinking about how Paramount didn't let Las Vegas build an Enterprise. Like, literally. If you've never heard of that, in the 70s, maybe the 80s, Paramount, well, the Las Vegas hotels, downtown Las Vegas, was losing money to the Strip. And so they needed a big attraction. And so what they did was, because the motion picture stuff was huge. I think we just had the Wrath of Khan. No, we just had the fourth one. And so they had plans to build a one-to-one model, a full-size Enterprise A, just in the middle of downtown Las Vegas. And you can see the concept art for this. It's amazing. But they literally, at like the last minute, they came to Paramount. They said, you won't have to pay a dime. We'll do this whole thing. We'll fund the whole thing. The only stipulation is it can't have hotel rooms. Because, of course, then the hotels wouldn't get business. Which is a shame, but, fair. And, like, it was pulled at the last minute because the head of Paramount walked in and was like, no. And he said no because he was afraid they would release a bad Star Trek movie and that would somehow ruin the franchise, like, forever if there was a big Enterprise in LA. And to be fair, they did then go ahead and make Star Trek V. But I would like to point out that the franchise was not ruined, and it's God. Why? And I like to think if it was super popular, like Las Vegas is in the middle of a desert, they could have built so more. Ah, yes. Gwen phasing out of time and unable to grab anything that's not the floor. I mean, maybe you can argue the floor has been there longer, so it's more temporally stable, but, you know. Is that how they normally get out? They climb up the pit? And there we go, episode 3. As I said, probably the strongest of the first 5. I mean, this one, Temple of Mechanics 101. What? I think it just, like, has to get Gwen back with the main crew. That's basically what it does. And then episode 5 is the for God's sake someone teach Murph how to write episode. But yeah, I might actually stop at episode 5. We'll do this in 4 parts across like 2 weekends. Or I guess 3 weekends because of Doctor Who. But yeah, I think I think I will. I think I'll do 5, and we'll just go straight in to episode 4 and 5 then. So, as I said before, we're going to be at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And then on go, we're all going to hit play for episode 4, Temple of Mechanics 101. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh yeah, and all the no skipping intros, no ads, start from the beginning. You know what, actually, Netflix, could I get a skip intro button, but specifically for this Star Trek intro logo that annoys me and makes it so the thumbnails for all the Blu-rays look the same? Uh-oh. It's okay, calm me. I dropped my water bottle. Good boy. He likes sleeping by my feet, under the blankets. I love doing the music on this watch along because I always imagine no one has it perfectly synced. And so hey, anytime I'm off like tune slightly as well, people panic that they're not perfectly synced up. I mean, I know I would. One day we'll do a good intro. It is a good ship. Just make the carpet gray. Wait, can Wesley speak Murph? Let's look at that silhouette. That's so good. Wait, the one ship is preserving the whole reality? I assume that's just speculation that's later gets overridden by, like, what Will Wheaton tells us, but... if that is the explanation, that's kind of funny. Boost the signal, hmm? I never would have thought of this, huh? That's why we pay you the big bucks, kid. Not that we have money, but, you know, we'll get there. I mean, by that logic, time gets you into every mess. Like, everything we do happens over time. Every now and then I just get hints of Amethyst from Steven Universe in her voice. And it's kind of, it throws me off a little bit. But the fact that it's Vulcan really helps me actually treat them as two different people. Because there's... Amethyst, is, if you haven't seen it, is a very emotional character. There's a lot of, like, emotion in the voice. It's very not Vulcan, so... But it's nice seeing him get more work. That's... I'm pretty sure that's not how you say it, actually. Oh yeah, that was it. They lost sign of Gwen's shuttle, and that's the first sign of a temporal paradox. No, it's not. It got blown up. Like, we as the audience know that. Sure, they don't know that, but we as the audience do. Thanks, Wesley. How do you know that, though? Do you think we should ask? Nah, let's leave. Oh, look at it. It's so stunning. I don't touch her head. Your hand will go through her skull and then she'll die. Whoa, why, I just realized, why does the Nova Squad get, like, captain pips? What's that about? Does she get acting captain? Or what was it called in Voyager, those weird pips? I don't remember. Because the Maquis and Voyager had weird ranks. It was, like, technically lieutenant or something, and I don't remember what they were. I think Maj'el is the first female Vulcan whose name doesn't start with T. But she's named after Maj'el Barrett, the name I've never known how to pronounce, but probably now do. Gene Roddenberry's wife, voice of the computer. All that good. Roxana, I probably should have opened with that one. Just look around. You haven't even bothered to check. Was it ever explained why Gwen is, like, in the future? Is it something Will Wheaton's doing? Or is it just, like, a convenient, contrived thing because she shouldn't exist anymore? I don't get it. So, like, is she only here and in the past? Or is she in this chamber for all perpetuity? Is she in the chamber here and forever in the future? Because does that not affect anything in between? Like, this part of the plot does seem rather contrived. Whoever complains that the planets are moving, therefore a time machine shouldn't work, go away. Like, there are so many easy ways you could answer that, including the, like, it always really annoys me. It's like, okay, so clearly they build a time-space machine, and that's the answer. I mean, Doctor Who's explanation is always that the TARDIS can lock on to gravitational bodies, so you need a reference point. Just define your reference point. It's like this planet, and now you're in the same geographic location. But I'm not going to in the future. Which always, to me, that line sounds funny coming after, like, I'm here now, I'm a father first, but I never said we need to be together. And he says it instantly. It's not like, did I say that yesterday? That's my opening line. I mean, I guess that is a valid question. There's number 2. It annoys me. I think the Doctor in Voyager also made this reference, but it happens way too much in this season. I mean, I've already talked about this so many times, but if the explanation to Solom always being in Civil War is that Gwen is about to create a new timeline, and Chakotay for some reason goes to the Civil War reality, I hate that because you don't actually save Solom. Like it's meaningless. Constitution class, so small world syndrome. Although bonus points for being the proper Constitution class. This is the one part of temple mechanics that I think works. But it's an odd premise for the season because when you don't establish Solom will always be in Civil War, it really seems like they treat the protostar is literally the only important thing in the entire sequence of events. Even to the point of even Chakotay not being trapped and sending the protostar back in the first place is a small detail that doesn't matter. Like, what were the point of all those last sentences? We know about the wormhole already. The quantum realities never really come up. It's just, I guess, the joke that you're not supposed to do this, but it's just a weirdly condescending college-level course. Yeah, I've been over it before. Kind of funny to use your actual scientific advisor for it, though. Like the woman in that Temporal Mechanics 101, right down to the name. I mean, I don't know if she's an actual doctor, but she is the scientific consultant for modern Star Trek, who is presenting Temporal Mechanics 101. It is fun how we're letting these sort of behind the camera people into the show. In fun ways like that don't break the narrative or really take you out. I mean, we did it a little bit, you'd always get your name on the dedication plaque for the classics. If you were a designer or an executive producer, but this is kind of a step up, and even naming starship classes out of them. I thought it didn't need to fly. They really like doing reflections in the eyes, which is helping it feel real and beautiful, I'll admit, but they really love those shots. Where'd they get the parts? Like, to build the time machine. I do love this moment, though. You let the diviner get, the moment of, like, oh my god, aliens! And, like, yeah, it's a massive deal for him, and he gets kind of emotional, and I really like that. His name is Will Wheaton. Did Zero just have that, like, chronon syringe on him at all times? Thank you, Will. Wesley. I mean, watching it through, I think once Wesley shows up, they do a good idea, or a good job, of having him basically, you know, whatever he thinks gets to happen, but not having it ruin the story and be like, okay, why doesn't Wesley just think this better? But he does seem to have a lot of abilities. Like, before he shows up, that I am now kind of questioning, why doesn't Wesley just solve it? Like, why doesn't Wesley just think the protostar onto Tars Lamor and send Chakotay home? We'll see once Wesley shows up if they provide good explanation. Because you also have to think that the Traveler, like, he can't think the Enterprise home when it gets stranded across the universe. They still have to use the warp engine. Like, there do seem to be limits to what they can do. The diviner was not an imposter. Okay, so here. They get from Solon, to Voyager A. And it's not a question, it's not even a bother. Like, you can just do it. But when they have to go from Voyager A to the Delta Quadrant, like where the Kazon are, in, you know, a day, it takes them 63 days. I like that Janeway is like, you're all in trouble, but well, let's actually resolve the crisis first. Like, they've done great for Janeway and Prodigy. She's pretty good in Voyager, but she did have a sort of, like, there were kind of two Janeways in Voyager, depending on the episode. She wasn't necessarily the most consistent character. Again, I don't think illogical is the right word, but I love, by the way, Wesley's reasoning for doing all this is like, I can't just abandon this reality. My mom lives here. But it is interesting that Wesley uses this, like, temporal Cold War era look to, like, communicate. And I mentioned before the same sort of tech and design as the people who helped the Suliban, which is probably to throw people who've seen Star Trek before off kind of the scent of Wesley. Not that anyone would be like, I bet this is Wesley. But yeah, episode 4, as I said, I mean, you could tell there were a lot that seemed kind of like contrived just to get Gwen back. It causes a lot of problems later on. About how quickly you can just like get to the Delta Quadrant and back. Because the reason I want people to remember Voyager has a slipstream drive is that, like, it should be able to get places incredibly fast, and it chooses not to. I don't remember how long the quantum slipstream drive in Voyager would have gotten them home. But it was pretty darn quick, as I remember. And number 5. All right, let's get through number 5. The episode that relies on the fact that over the several previous months, no one has attempted to communicate with Murph, and nobody has attempted to make Murph learn how to read, despite him actively studying at Starfleet Academy and having active coursework in classes where he would presumably have to turn in assignments or communicate at some point in the name of his security training. Oh, and the way... Okay. Let's complain during the episode. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go is what we're going to do. On go, we're all going to hit play. I bet people love this episode. They loved Time of Muck or whatever the heck it was. Which was also the worst episode of season 1. Alright, countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. The translator speaks whale. Yeah, this... I don't know. They needed to get going. And I think Prodigy generally struggled to involve the kids in missions they probably shouldn't be. But they also could just get them involved if they wanted. You know what I mean? Like, now the kids' mission is done, but they still try and, like, solve things on their own. Even when they find the, like, coordinates or whatever in this episode, they don't go to the captain. It's like, why not? Like, the captain could help you, and at this point, they would probably involve you, because it's very clear whoever's helping you is specifically helping you. God, it still gets me the like, how is the whale a better universal translator than the universal translator, which speaks whale? No way that whale speaks more languages than the translator. And they're just translating letters and numbers, which should be trivial for the UT, but at the same time, how does it even make sense? How is Murph spelling? Is he spelling in his own language and the whale is spelling their own language? But no, you'd have to imply that the whale and Murph have the same alphabet. Because the whale can't be using the universal translator. The whale is just understanding Murph. You can't have it every way. And no matter which way you choose, there's major problems. God, I don't like this episode. Hi, come on, Comet. Get up here. That's right, we're watching the one with the whale. And not to mention that she doesn't... We'll get there. Let's not complain before we get there. It's a good ship, though. I really hope the model is kind of shiny like that. Oh my god, that's a tiny cup. Like the picture. Uh-oh. Thank you, Zero, the sensible one. And let's continue this interview with Murph, despite no one being able to understand him. It wasn't. You just don't know why they helped. Why is it so hard to understand? Is it because all the writers grew up watching Star Trek and so they understand logic from TOS Spock, who doesn't understand logic at all? Like, why is Janeway pretend? Why? Why go along with this? Teach Murph to speak. Murph can read, meaning Murph can spell, meaning you could write the alphabet and have Murph point. Like, there's so many ways to get around this. Small world syndrome. But it does have, that's a weird one, the Cerritos reference, because it feels like it's just to reference Lower Decks and takes me out of it. But, as I mentioned in the live review, like a year or two ago, was the big news story where it made the Cerritos look like a joke that was super dysfunctional, and Mariner was the only one who had anything positive to say. So from an outside perspective, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Although I've seen some people speculating that that's set up for a Lower Decks episode that they've already recorded or written, where the Doctor shows up. Which would also retroactively help improve the line, but still. It's a good ship, it is. I want it now. Murph is drawing. Why can't Murph write with like the materials he has? God, I hate the logic in this episode. I wish we got more development with the rest of Nova Squad, because later on she kind of leaves as if like Nova Squad was bad for her or they weren't her real friends, but we never really see her relationship with Nova Squad. I love how Rok-Tahk's cup is bigger. I want to pay attention to which way all the spirals are going, because if we recall, we later see Chakotay give Janeway his dream quest rock, his vision quest, and they mirror it for some reason. And so I want to know if the spiral is mirrored in all of Prodigy, or if it's just that one scene was like mirrored at the last minute for some reason. Hey, another Steven Universe voice actor. Because the guy who plays Murph plays basically every single non-speaking character from children's entertainment you could think of. The voice of Perry the Platypus, the voice of Lion and the Centibeetle from Steven Universe, the voice of God, look him up. D. Bradley Baker, like basically everything. Anti-anxiety for a candy. Oh yeah, H. Ah. It's so good seeing the doc. Like, he really gets into the role. I feel like the writers, I'm sure Robert Picardo helped, but like they understand him a lot, and kind of the character. He is maybe a little sillier because of the nature of the show, but he has plenty of silly moments in Voyager. I mean, is it really so bad listening to that story? I kind of want to know what the story's about. Is the love hexagon between, like, the copies? Or does all his copies love the same person? I'm interested. Maybe I'm just interested in boring things. That's what we've learned. Yeah, so no, the hologram's like someone else. I'm into this. Sorry, I'm moving my mic around a lot because I have to sit weirdly to get the mic around, so I have to keep adjusting. Whose voice is that? That sounds familiar. I don't think it's D. Bradley Baker. Julian? Jillian? I was waiting to hear the name. That whale isn't going to report any of this. Like, there's just decreasing levels of loyalty. Like, you know, smaller and smaller scopes. It's like your loyalty to the Federation comes after your loyalty to Starship, which is after the loyalty to your ship, which is after the loyalty to the, like, direct co-workers, which is after the loyalty to your friends. That's the order. It's inverted. And Starfleet really needs to do something about this systemic problem. That one looks right. So far, it's consistent. Let me look up his thing. Star Trek Vision Quest Rock. Yeah, no, it's mirrored. For some reason, the Vision Quest Rock appears to be mirrored in Prodigy. Like, unless all of the images online are also mirrored, but that does seem unlikely. An Icona stone from the river, evidently. I'm still trying to find on memory alpha, but yeah, it just looks mirrored for some reason. See, they love these reflection shots. I always wonder with characters like Murph, or like Perry the Platypus, does he have to come in every day for the recording, or do they like batch record a bunch of random sounds at the beginning of the day, like this season, and then maybe get him back for some filler? And the whale's not going to report that. She's right. And, like, they know how badly Janeway wants to get Chakotay back. Why not share? Here it comes. Like everything! Everything on this planet! Well, there's maybe like 2 species that didn't, but God. And it doesn't even help. Why does it help? It's just the whale. I do like that line. What does that even mean? Like, why is the whale a better translator than the 400-year-old universal... Ah, God. Why? Who wrote this episode? It's a classic case of, like, yeah, there's a logic there, but not actually thinking through the logic at all, because there isn't a logic there. It's just one of those things, if you hear with no context, you have literally no understanding what any of these things are, you go, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess you're not just saying random things, like there is a logic, it just doesn't make any sense. If I told you that the Heisenberg compensator, like, if the Heisenberg compensator can make a perfectly baked cake, it stands to reason it could also make great muffins. That is logically sound, right? Baking cakes, baking muffins, basically the same. If the Heisenberg compensator can bake a perfect cake, it could bake a perfect muffin. The problem is the Heisenberg compensator can't bake a cake. That's what we're talking about here. Why? So the translator speaks whale, Linda. Julian, what was it? Why is she starting in the middle, too? Like, she's... Unless Murph started with a D. I used to like this bit where it wasn't in order. Now I don't. Doesn't make sense. This might actually be worse than anything Hoshi does. And then they're all fighting over the pen for some reason. Why? What would it even... What would that mean? God. This is the bad... Put all of the bad in this episode. That's what they did. So you can get 19 better ones. Okay, actually, this part's good. This part's great. Like, I think what Prodigy's really good at is these emotional payoffs and really actually building off of the emotion in the world that's been built over, like, Voyager, and the other series, but of course especially Voyager. And that's what's making this season so good. But that really doesn't start until Wesley shows up. And so you get a moment like this. By the way, what's that spider? I don't recognize it. You get moments like this, but otherwise the first part of the season is definitely weaker. Particularly when you're primed with this evidently being like the best season ever made. What is the spider? I genuinely don't recognize it. Is it like the time spider from Discovery? I'd be amazed. Is it like a Bride of Chaotica reference? What is the spider? Star Trek, Janeway, Spider, Metal. Admiral's Janeway's ready room has a deep... Here we go. Screen rant. Tell me what it was. Janeway's spider decoration could be a reference. Yeah, no, it could. That's why I want to know, Screen Rant. Because I don't think that's in there, right? I don't think there's a metal spider in those episodes. And this sequence is good, too, that we're about to get. Like, the visuals. It's just a visually impressive sequence that's kind of like, I don't know, gives you a sense of the majesty of time and all that stuff. I mean, it's superficial, yes, but it's still good superficial stuff. Here we go. I mean, I don't understand what any of it's supposed to mean, like... Like, why did Wesley communicate with Murph and not directly with Gwen? And the music's great in this sequence, too. And there's more eye shots. By the way, this episode, was originally called The Mystery Spiral, or that might be the French title. That's what was on Memory Alpha before this actually released in Netflix. So yeah, Wesley communicated back in time with Murph so that Murph could communicate to Gwen so that Wesley could communicate to Gwen. I feel like there might be some redundant steps in the process. But yeah, those were the week episodes. We'll get better. As I said, it really improves when Wesley shows up for me. Netflix is crashing, doing weird stuff. As I said, though, I think I'm going to call it there. We'll try and get at least the next 5 done tomorrow. But until then, I will say thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time!